This conference will now be recorded.
Hi, this is people. I'm having somewhere around like 13 years of experience, and since 4 to 5 years I was on Splunk. Okay, so I was a performance tester, but I used to work on Splunk as well. Okay, uh,
Sir,
that's
sorry to
about.
interrupt. Your voice breaking, or I'm the only one having this problem?
Can
It's not
someone?
breaking for me, actually, it's very low. Your voice is little low, sir.
Okay, is it fine now?
This conference will now be recorded.
Hi everyone, welcome to Isha Splunk for performance testers. So basically, in this course, we'll be going through Splunk, and post this session, we will be able to understand the query. Most of the queries you will be able to understand, if someone writes, and you can also write the queries, and you can prepare dashboards as well as the alerts. So yeah. So first we'll understand what is the problem statement and why we are going with Splunk. Okay. So every organization, right? Previous everything was a standalone server. Okay, standalone server in the sense you used to have application server, web server, and DB server only on the one server. So if any issue comes, let's assume there is some issue with application. Okay, normally the developer or a tester will log into the server and he will check. But in the uh, uh, current system, right, we are having some scaled servers, means we won't have one server. Basically we will be having some cluster which combines some 10 to 15 or 20 servers. Okay, for one application server, when we go to cloud, right, there will be something like horizontal scaling, where in which based on the load it will easy to instances will be spinned. So during that time, right, what happens, right, it is difficult if you get any issue, right, it will take a lot of time to log into every server and check. Okay, to overcome that problem, right, there are some tools like Splunk, Elasticsearch, LogDNA, Sumo Logic. These are the servers, these are the log analytical servers. What basically they will do, right, they will ship the logs, okay, from your application servers or from your databases, or irrespective from your routers or anything. Basically it will ship all the data to a centralized location. From that centralized location we can analyze the data. Clear? Is it clear?
Sir,
Yeah.
so, sir, like Splunk will have agents who will collect
Yes,
all the
yeah,
data or
we'll
the
come.
logs and put it in
Yeah, we'll come
something
to
like
that
this.
one. Yes,
No, no,
yes,
I'm
yes.
actually trying to understand. Is it something like this that all the servers will have the agents and they'll collect and put it in a centralized server?
Yes, correct, correct.
Okay, sir.
So basically, right, it is a centralized location from which, okay, from different data sources, irrespective of whether it is an application server or a DB server or a router or anything, or it can be your IoT device also, okay, or it can be your transmitter or anything. Splunk has capability to get the data, okay, and we can analyze. Okay, basically, right, each and every server generates the data, right, if it is a radio frequency device or application server or whatever. Okay, the goal is basically to analyze the large amounts of data generated from the thousands of servers. So you may ask, why thousands of servers? There will be some security people. Okay, so any organization will have some thousands of servers, and the hacker may try to penetrate into the network using one system, right? So there he has to monitor all the systems. So that's why he has that's why the Splunk is in picture. So normally this is how the log looks, right? So this is the raw data. Okay, this is called as the machine generated data or the raw data. Okay, if you see if you see this, right, are you able to understand anything? Can you analyze this log?
No.
So raw data, right, it's bit difficult to analyze. But if you closely look, right, you will see something like this is the order and this is the time which it has placed. Okay, and this is the customer number. So this is the order. One second, let me highlight this spot. Okay, this is the order. This is the date it has purchased. Okay, and here if you see, right, this is the customer number. Okay, if you see here, right, this is the exception which it has encountered. Got it. And you will find something like session ID or some things in the logs, right? So server ID or whatever. Okay, and here, right, you will see some other information also, but this raw data will have so much information. Even in your organization for your application logs, the logs will look something like this one only, which has some meaningful information. So if you see here, no, as I mentioned, no, this is the customer number, this is the order ID. Okay, like that, these are all the useful information that I need. Let's assume like in 1 hour test, okay, you are running some performance test and you have generated some test data. In your test data, right, you have put some 30K users. Okay, but we are not really sure whether that 30K users are iterated. So if you want to find the unique users which you are using, okay, then I can use this customer field, okay, and I can get the unique and the count, so that whatever you are generating there can be seen reflected over here. Okay, let's assume there is some white space or something due to which I think like the data is skipped by any chance. It won't happen, but those kinds of information can be checked in the Splunk. That is one of the scenario. Okay. So what Splunk actually does, basically that Splunk will collect the data. Okay, as I mentioned, Splunk will collect the data from your different application servers, and what it will do, it will will search in the sense like, let's assume the Splunk collects the data for last 24 hours. Okay, but I ran the test from around like 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. in the morning. So I will put one filter and I will get all the logs. Post that, right, I will analyze in the sense like uh, I can analyze the logs, means like how many errors are there, or how many response codes are there. Okay, how many like 500s, how many errors, how many paused transactions, what is the response time, and we can represent using the graphs. Okay, we can prepare the dashboards and you can use it. Okay, the Splunk is founded in like around like 2004. Okay, the beauty of the Splunk is something like it can get the data from anywhere and any volume. Okay, irrespective of it is a application server or Linux or Windows or like AD or anything, like it is a router, anything, right? All sorts of information can be pulled from the source device to the Splunk. Okay, basically, right, it supports like on-premises, cloud, and SaaS. Okay, so like on-premises in the sense like you can set up your own Splunk, okay, locally, okay, which most of the like institutions do. And like if it is a telecom or something, right, they will go for the cloud, because the sensitive, some organizations won't prefer their logs or sensitive information to put it in cloud. Okay, so those kind of people will go for the on-premises. Okay, and there will be something like a software as a service where they will sell you one instance. Okay, so as I mentioned, like the Splunk monitors everything basically. So like Splunk can collect the data from servers, Active Directory, Windows, like radio frequency devices, virtual machines, sensors, application servers, security devices, databases, networks. Basically, it is a one-stop solution. One example would be something like, let's assume like Geo, okay, or like Reliance Communications is there. Okay, in that Geo, right, what happens, right? You will be having like radio, like your devices, right, like your mobiles. Okay, and you will be having some servers, and you will be having some other application servers, or some servers to support that network, no? So like, let's assume like as a whole, as an organization, they want to monitor everything. Okay, so they want, let's assume like whenever you call, some notification will be sent to the tower, no? Even that also needs to be recorded. Okay, your location whenever you pass, normally like you might have seen, no, they can trace your location if you are on mobile. So those kind of information can be inputted to the Splunk of all users. Okay, this will be the one-stop solution. Okay, okay, so you might have like okay, now I will tell you one thing. So basically, if you go to the Splunk, right? Okay, if you click on Splunk download, okay, I'm directly going to this. Okay, you will find something like free trials and downloads. Okay, so basically, right here, if you see, right, it is giving you 14 days of trial version of SaaS cloud platform. So if you register now, you can opt for 14 days. Okay, else, right, if you are having some Windows machine or if you are having some Linux machine, okay, if you want to set up your Splunk on your local, no, you can download this version. So this will be valid for 60 days, whereas the SaaS version will be valid for 14 days. Clear? So the Splunk is available for us to practice now. The Splunk is available in two platforms. One is the cloud platform. So once you register and if you click on this free access trial, right, you will be getting some 14 days trial version. Okay, and here, right, you will be going with the like enter Splunk enterprise, which is valid for 60 days. Okay, post to 60 days, what will happen? So whatever the dashboards you create, okay, that won't work. Okay, you can fetch the data, but the dashboards and other features, no, that won't work. So currently, right, what we will do, right, you will go to download the free trial version. Okay, so basically, like if you want to download, right, you have to provide your business email address and your password, first name, last name, and you have to enter your phone number and you have to create your account. Okay, this is like pretty straightforward. So you can provide your like details and you can create your account. Okay, for me, right, I already have. I will try to log in. If you have any query, you can stop. Okay. So if now I will come to this one. So if you see, right, the Splunk, if you want to install, right, it is available in Windows, Linux and Mac. Okay, this is the Splunk server side. Okay, if you see the size of the package, no, it is around like 400 plus MB. Okay, if you see the Linux also, it will be something like 400 plus MB. Okay, I will take something like this. So basically, right, Splunk has two packages. One is server side. Okay, second is the client side package. Okay, this is the client side package. So let's assume this is your application server. Okay, let's assume this is your operating system. Okay, now in this you are having some application server. Okay, and this is your Splunk. Okay, so here my operating system is Linux. Here I am having my application log which is running on Apache. Here I am having some Windows, and here I am having something like IIS, and here we are having some other operating system. It can be Solaris or Ubuntu or whatever, and it can host some other application server. Okay, basically, right, if I want to ship my logs from here to server, no, I have to have something like client side package, which is called as the universal forwarder. So basically we'll call it as UF. Okay. Basically what happens, right? If you have this universal forwarder installed, then what will happen, right? This universal forwarder will take care of shipping the logs from your source machines to the Splunk. And in Splunk, it will where it will be stored basically. So there will be something like index. Okay. You will be having something like indexer. Okay. Here I'm naming it as something like uh, okay. The index name is something like okay, app underscore Apache. Okay. Here I am having one more index. Okay. This is called as so. If I give something like this, so let's assume your application is server is having some cluster. Okay, this is only one machine, but if you are having some 50 machines, okay, let's assume it is like some Amazon or some Flipkart where the infrastructure will be very big. Okay, and it is scattered across multiple regions in cloud. Okay, so whenever you send a request, like basically you will install this universal forwarder in all the servers. Okay, then you will ship those logs, okay, to this particular indexer. Okay, if it is a Windows log, okay, you are having some application, okay, backend server or some .NET application, I can send my all the logs to the particular index. Got it? Let's assume here I am having something like Apache logs and something like Unix logs. Here I'm having Windows logs. So it is not mandatory like I have to send these Apache logs, sorry, this OS and Linux to the same index. I can create one more index for Linux logs. Okay, I can send all my Linux logs to this particular index. Got it? Basically, we can have this universal forwarder installed in your client machines based on your configuration you specify, right? You can ship the logs to any index. It is not mandatory like if I'm having one universal forwarder, I have to send all the logs of that particular machine to only one indexer, but we can send it to anything. Clear till now? Let's assume like why I'm telling now, let's assume like this OS logs, okay, will be looked by the security admin. So he can't search your index, if you explicitly specify, if you pump all your logs to this particular OS Linux, right, they will look into the Linux logs and say they will see the breaches like invalid logins or whatever. Clear till now? Now at least you got.
So indexer pulls the data or the server puts the data? Who actually pulls it?
So basically, right, there is universal forwarder will send the data. Server won't pull the data. Basically, in any APM tool or whatever, right? Whenever you install agent is responsible for sending the data to the server based on the configuration you specify. Correct?
Okay.
So
And the as you wrote in Linux and Windows, agents will be sitting there
yeah,
in the
yeah.
left hand
So
side.
correct. So if it is a Linux, I will put Linux package. If it is a Windows means I will put universal forwarder of Windows. Got it?
Got- Yeah.
Okay. So basically like what we understood, like currently, right, you are having two packages. One is the client side and one is the server side. In earlier days, right, when Splunk started, they used to have only one package, server side package, which they used to install in the client side also. initial days, but it has, they have observed like there is a lot of performance degradation in the application server when they install the server side package in the client to ship the logs. Later, right, they come up with the client side package to overcome that performance issues. Okay, so now this is I'm telling only with the application servers, right? It is from OS. If I want to ship data from OS, right, I'm using the universal forwarder. Okay, let's assume like I want to get the data from DB, or if I want to get the data from router, or the Splunk can be integrated to like DevOps tools like Jenkins, okay, ServiceNow, okay, Jira, okay. So during that, right, the installation procedure will be different. The mechanism to integrate to the Splunk, the third party would be different. Got it? So it is not mandatory like if it is a like OS or like OS dependable thing, then only we'll go with the universal forwarder. Where if you want to get the data from your Jenkins, okay, like how many builds are successful, how many builds are failed. Okay, in Jenkins, if you observe, no, only last 50 or 60 jobs will be present. But if I want to get a data of last month, how many builds are passed and how many builds are failed, you won't have that information in Jenkins, no? So that thing can be like this, Jenkins can be integrated to the Splunk and you can get the data because the data is stored in the Splunk. Even in the service now also, like how many tickets are created, service now, right? Or Zira, right? How many tickets are
Yes.
created, how many tickets are closed, and how many people are like status by, I mean, like the user or the employee. So for each employee, how many tickets are assigned? Those types of information can be retrieved from the Splunk if you integrate this one. So there are n number of ways because for router, the mechanism to integrate will be different. I am talking here about only the application servers and the operating systems. Okay. Now, if you see, right, now we can install the Splunk server in Windows, Linux, and Mac. Okay. Now, there is one more package called as Universal Forward. This is what I am talking about, the client side package. If you see the compatibility, server side, it will support only three Windows, Linux, and Mac. Whereas if it is a client side, no, it is supporting Solaris and AX, FreeBSD. Okay, apart from these three, right, it is supporting other three platforms also. So here, if you have seen, right, there is only one package or two packages. For Linux, it will be like three packages. Derby is for the Debian based systems like Ubuntu. RPM is for Red Hat based packages. Tar is like generic, you can install it on anywhere. Okay, if you see Linux, right, you will see the big list. Okay, it supports like different platforms, architectures, basically 64-bit and different. Got it, right? If it is a Mac, also FreeBSD, Solaris, and AX. Okay, generically, right, normally, right, you will be installed the tar based package. Okay, so the beauty of this tar based installation is like if something goes wrong or something, just you delete the directory and install new. Okay, you will have control of all the configurations and everything. You can take a backup, you can play with it. If something goes wrong, take the backup of the existing stuff and you can deploy again. Okay, so as I mentioned, that's why, right, the like application management, the Splunk is used in the various platforms. Okay, like it is used in the application management, IT operations, security, compliance, web intelligence, business analytics, and industrial data. If it is an IoT devices are there, right, like sensors data and all those that can be retrieved from the like factories and that can be injected into the Splunk. Business analytics is there. One example would be something like, let's assume Amazon is there. Okay, in Amazon is having its presence in multiple countries. Now as a BA, right, okay, I'm a global seller. Okay, I'm not restricted to India. I'm a global seller. Okay, so I have registered in multiple like countries, so I have some fixed amount, so I have to spend my money wisely on a particular products which will give me more profit. Okay, then I can analyze the last 6 months or last 3 months or last 1 year data on which country is preferring like which products. Okay, got it. So like some people will prefer iPhone in some particular states, in some countries they will prefer Android. Okay, such kind of information can be retrieved. Okay, okay, this is all. Okay, one thing is like Splunk, that you know about auditing for companies. Have you about the logs will be audited? There is a compliance actually. Have you heard about that one? Anyone?
Yes, yes, I heard.
Yeah, so basically, right, whatever the transaction that happens, no, there will be some auditing bodies, okay, like PCI, SOX or HIPAA. So what they will do, right, they will define some rules, like if it is a financial data, if it is insurance, or if it is a banking or something, no, you should preserve the data of last 10 years. Okay, they will define some standards. Okay, so that Splunk complies that one, so it supports this stuff. Okay, the competitors, as I mentioned, you know, log DNA, Elasticsearch, Sumo Logic, and SolarWinds. Okay, Logi will be used. Okay, so just I want to tell you about the Splunk career paths. Okay, so basically, right, people will think like Splunk is a small utility, but basically, right, it's an Excel for everyone. In layman terms, if I say, no, it can be used by anyone. Okay, if you are good at configure, if you are good at Linux, and if you are good at configuration, no, you can take the career path as a Splunk admin. Okay, where you will take care of installation, configuration, and data source integration, and app management and cluster management. Okay, I will come deeper into this one in future classes, but basically, right, let's assume like I am having some 50,000 servers in my organization, or 60,000 servers. Now I want to send all the logs to the Splunk from all the machines. Got it? Then this admin will take care of that activity. Okay, got it? And basically, right, the Splunk won't be a single instance. It is also a cluster basically. Okay, so Splunk also has a complex architecture. If I show here, no, you will understand. This is a Splunk architecture. For one small setup, right, the Splunk architecture would be something like this. So in order to maintain this, right, you need a Splunk admin explicitly. Got it? This is only the Splunk setup. You will be having multiple components. Okay, like universal forwarder. I will go deeper into that later point of time. But universal forwarder, heavy forwarder, indexer, cluster master, search head, deployment server, and license master. These are all the individual servers. As I mentioned, now Splunk will be having only one package at server side, but based on our configuration, we can convert into like heavy forwarder, indexer, or cluster master, or search head. Okay, for maintaining this one, we need a Splunk admin. Okay, if you want to some switch some career, right, you can go through like you can go to the you can learn Splunk admin and you can switch the career. Okay, Splunk developer. There will be one role called Splunk developer where their job is only to prepare the dashboards. They will hire in Naukri also, you can try. There will be something like Splunk developer. Okay, they will explicitly do only the dashboards. Okay, in smaller organization, right, they will be having admin plus developer role where they will work on both admin side as well as the developer. Okay, basically, right, for hours, no, like for us, right, even you are a performance tester or a developer or like BA, right, based on the raw data whatever you have, right, you can work and you can prepare your own dashboard. So basically, right, the Splunk is for everyone. Okay, but explicitly, right, it provides like multiple opportunities. Okay, I will show one of the dashboard which I had a demo. I will show one of the dashboard. So basically, right, I will just log out. This is Splunk which I have installed on my local. Okay, the Splunk UI will look something like this. Most of you have known like this is a search bar where you will write your SQL query. Okay, there will be something like alerts, reports, and dashboards. This is the three areas which we are interested. Mostly 90% will work on the 95% will work on dashboards, whereas support team will work on the alerts and reports. Okay, so yeah. So in our class, right, using the data whatever that is provided by the Splunk, so we have generated some dashboard, something like this. So if you, I will see the raw data first. I will show the raw data also. Okay, there is some index called as app which I showed. Okay, previously I told the raw data will be something like this one. Okay, if you see, right, you are having some information called as session ID. Okay, and you are knowing like whether it is a get operation. Okay, and what is the action that is being performed. The performed action is something like add to cart. Basically, this is a retail application. Okay, and the logs I have over here. See here, I'm having something like a status code. Okay, which is something like 408, which means like it is failed, and 200 it is a passed transaction. Here I'm having something like response time. Basically, these are only the things that are displayed in the logs, right? Based on this, okay, based on these logs, okay, what we have done, right? We have prepared some dashboards. So here, right, and if you want to analyze, right, it is a bit difficult. So what we have done, basically, right, now I want to know the total passed transactions for the feature called, okay, add to cart. Just now we have seen, right, add to cart feature. Now I want to write a query, or in your suite, let's assume you are running a performance suite, okay, in which you have performed some add to cart transactions of some X number. Okay, let's say 10,000 in 1 hour or like 5,000 in 1 hour. Okay, and you want to validate in the server side as well. Okay, so you can retrieve your data like this. Let's assume like let's assume like if it is a decoupled system where you have microservices and all those, right? If one of the transaction fails and by any chance your transaction is updated wrongly, right, then your count may vary. Okay, like that. If you expand this one, you will get the query what I have written. The query is simple. Okay, so if you understand the query, right, I'm searching, I'm filtering the add to cart operation. Okay, and status is 200. Okay, and I'm getting the count. So these are the things. The query would be smaller only. Okay, sometimes you will be at the complex queries also, but if you want to filter here, I'm getting only one, right? If I want to get everything, that will be bit complex, like how many transactions failed. Okay, so transaction split by category. So here, you are having something like different categories like accessories and all those. What are the count? Okay, and like in last 1 hour I have run my test. I want to see like how many are passed, how many 200 are there, how many 400 are there, 404 are there. Like that, I want to know each and every status code that is being present and their count. So using this Splunk queries, right, based on this raw data, I can extract some information like this, which we are going, which will be discussed in the class. Okay, so if you want to have only errors, you can exclude past transactions. Then it will display only the failures. Okay, so like if you now what happened right here, you are representing in 200, 400 or 404. Okay, but business can't understand, like customer can't understand what is 400, 404, 406. This is meant for the technical people, but I want to manipulate the data in such a way that everyone can understand. So now I can rename this 400, 200 or 400. I can rename this and I can extrapolate the data like this. This is more meaningful, rather than this one. So let's assume like there is one more thing called response time. So let's assume like your SLA is something like uh, like 3.5 seconds. Okay, now you want to understand the response times greater than 3.5 seconds categorized by your errors and yours or basically the HTTP status code. Like that also you can extract the information. It will give you a glimpse like what can be discussed and what are the uses of Splunk. No, you can ask like if you have any doubts. No, you can ask. So basically, right, you will be defining one SLA. Okay, when in your performance test, like your LoadRunner will have that bandwidth, right? The traffic or the time that is taken for the request to like from your load generator to the application server, that is also included. No, here, right, it is only the server side. Whenever the server hits this, okay, whenever the request hits the server, in that it is spending this much time. Sometimes there may be additional latency outside the server also, right? That can be excluded. What is spent in the actually in the server is being determined here. Let's assume like from load generator to your application, it is like something 2 seconds or 3 seconds it is taking due to some bandwidth constraints. But in your test, you can see like how much actually it is spending in the server. Okay, based on that, right, you can take a discussion, you can have a like discussion with your technical team and you can take a decision. Got it? This is turnaround time on the server side. Okay, whatever you get is turnaround time from the load generator. Okay, so here there is one more thing, like if you want to like there are different actions like operations like add to cart, change quality, purchase, remove. In that I can get the stat something like this one as well. Okay, means I can get 400. I can do a split basically based on the category. How many are there errors? Okay, I can. This is what the total won't be there. No, I can add total. Normally, right, in logs you will have individual 400 how many, 404 how many. We can get that count, but we can add that in the Splunk and show like how many errors totally. Are you able to follow?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay,
So
can you walk me through when the data start flowing? Is it flowing? Okay, flowing from the say on the client side. I'm assuming that they also maybe they sign up for this for Splunk. So, or they're going to be sending the data to a central location that is operated by Splunk. I'm just kind of trying to understand the flow because the dashboard. Okay, this is the dashboard. You're showing us the dashboard. Is that correct?
yes, it is the dashboard.
Okay, and of course, so this is the dashboard, and then the data is coming in. So I'm kind of trying to understand, a bit of the flow
Yeah.
from say from the client and just kind of walk us through their place.
Yes. I understood. So basically, right, if you want to understand this one, right? So, okay, I'll go to that old diagram. So whenever the Splunk sends the data, right, we will be inputted with two information. Okay, like if I want to send a package, Amazon package, no, I need two information, right? One is what to send. Okay, where to send. So if I want to deliver something, right, I should be clear on like what I have to send and where I have to send, right? So in your source, in your Splunk, no, basically it is an agent, means it is understood like agent will be up and running all the time, right? Even if it is an AppDynamics or if it is in a Dynatrace, right? Okay, if you have an agent, it will be running all the time. Okay, here, right, you will be providing like what to send. Okay, what to send, that information you will put it in input.conf. Okay, where to send is where I have to send, that will be present in the output.conf. So in input.conf, I will be specifying the path. Means let's assume I want to send something like var log messages. Everyone knows that var log messages, right? In Linux. Okay. Or let's assume like I have installed my app in OPT, or I have mounted something like ABC app. Okay. I have created some directory logs. I am having something like abc.log. Okay. This information, okay, where the log is present, that path I will be mentioning in my input.conf. So the agent will recognize this log and it will send it to the, it will get the data on what to send. Output.conf is something like where we are sending the data. I will be mentioning the indexer IP address. Got it? So let's assume like I want to send it this to indexer. No, I will give this IP in the output.conf such that this Splunk will recognize, right? It has to send to this particular indexer. If I want to send it to 2 or more indexes, I can give a comma separated value and I can give the multiple host names. Clear? Did I answer your question?
Yeah, I'm kind of listening. Yeah, go ahead. I'm kind of because
Yeah, you will see it in
eventually,
practical. So basically, right, you will install some Linux server and will be shipping the logs. You will understand when we do. So it will be like overview, right? So it will be too technical if I jump into that like input.conf, output.conf, and if I show, right, it will be like it will be too much. So basically, right, the web there will be like in Splunk, right, there will be like multiple ports. Okay, you know SSH, it runs on 22. If it is an FTP, right, it runs on 23, right? If it is an RKL, okay, it will have some port 3306 for MySQL, right? In the same way, Splunk also have these ports. If I want to send any data, right, it will be received on the Splunk on this port 9777. Okay, so if when I mentioned the output.conf, no, here IP and hostname colon port means I have to mention, okay, what is the IP address followed by the port. You know, right? Every HTTP or any port on a system will have one port for communication, right? So for Splunk, no, if it wants to receive any data, okay, from any of your universal forwarder, it will be on the 9777 port. So the source has to send to this port, then only it will recognize and it will store, else it will reject the data. It won't come basically, it won't reach the server. If it's 9777 only, it will come. So if you want to open the Splunk UI, right, web port will be something like 8000. Okay, so if you want to open the Splunk UI, right, then it should be on the 8000 port. Okay, someone asked like how to download the reports. Basically, the dashboards can be downloaded. Reports will be automatically sent to the mail. Okay, so basically there is a difference between the, like someone asked like how to download the reports. Okay, so if it is a dashboard, no, you can convert to PDF and you can send. Okay, you can print it or whatever. If it is a report, no, it will be automatically sent. Okay, there is something like reports. Reports are something like you will have one category, something like this, like last 24 hours errors or something like that. Okay, so this one can't be downloaded. It will be automatically sent to the mailer, whatever we have defined. Okay, dashboards can be downloaded. So if you are interested in admin and all those, right, you need to understand these diagrams. Okay, we'll discuss this in class. Okay, in future classes. If you see here, no, 8089 997. Okay, so sorry, 999 777. It's not 9 triple, it's 9997. Okay, 977 is for the cluster head. Okay, there are like multiple components also in Splunk. So you understood, no, this one? So as I mentioned, you have to create your Splunk account, okay, and you can install and you can use. Like there will be something like a SaaS based application where you click, right, you will be given access to 14 days trial version of the Splunk. Okay, so like for practice purpose, right, I prefer local installation. Why? Because you will have a, like when your instance is in cloud, there will be one agent. If you double click, right, automatically the data will be ingested. Okay, but if you do it locally, right, you will understand and you can troubleshoot easily. The SaaS based approach, no, you won't have CLI access to the server. That is the drawback. Let's assume this is my Splunk. Okay, they will provision only UI. They will give you only UI. Okay, they won't give you the backend for a SaaS. Let's assume like if you want to start the Splunk or stop the Splunk, or you want to visit the configuration, no, in the backend. Okay, you can't do that. So better go with, if you want like enterprise Linux, not the SaaS based, where you can practice and you can go through some configurations. Okay, so yeah, any doubts? If you have any doubts, you can ask.
Can you come back once again? What about SaaS and enterprise, please?
Yeah, sure. Just in SaaS based thing, no, you will be provisioned with some UI like this. Okay, you will be given some URL for which they will give you the username and password. Okay, so like for agent installation will be like just download it from and you have to install it. Okay, but if you go with normal enterprise, right, you have to spin 2 virtual machines, okay, on which you can install your like universal forwarder manually. You can download, so that gives like more of technical knowledge, right, rather than anyhow, right, SaaS solution will be bit simpler. So they will do most of the things for you and they will ship. If it is like enterprise Linux or if it is an in-house thing, no, you have to download the package, you have to prepare your configurations. Even the client side also you have to download manually. Let's assume I told, in prior case, let's assume here web port is 8000. Okay, now the port is already used. You may encounter that issue, right? Let's assume if I use SaaS based application, no, I am like ready-madely or like I'm getting this URL. Let's assume there is one scenario whenever you install Splunk and you are having some more application there which runs on 8000 port. What will happen? The Splunk installation will fail, or you won't be, Splunk installation may be successful, but you won't be presented with the UI. Correct? So then you have to change the port. Those things you will know. You can explore, like, got it?
Little
Like
bit
most of
confusion.
the
I mean, here we are using only enterprise or so SaaS. Yeah, I mean,
enterprise.
okay.
90% of the organizations will use enterprise only. Like financial institutions, no? Like let's assume like you are having some data in the logs. It may be customer information or it may be sensitive information. You can't keep that in a third party, right? Yes or no? They will maintain the data in-house. So most of the organizations will prefer in-house only. Now only some teams are moving to cloud. There is one more solution. What they will do, right? They will spin Azure or they will spin AWS instance. There they will install the Splunk. Got it. So they won't use ready-made Splunk that is provided by the Splunk vendor, but they will have their own infrastructure now in cloud. In that they will spin one instance or they will form the Splunk infrastructure in their PPC or like in their organization account, and they will provision the Splunk. That is also one architecture, right?
How many classes? I mean, for Splunk?
15. Like actually, we are covering only the development, power users kind of thing. So only 15 classes. If it is an admin, no, it would be 30. But we are not planning for this, right? Only this is involved.
How many classes?
15.
Can you repeat that? 10 classes?
No, 1.5.
1.5. Okay, are you
Yeah.
only covering what are we okay? You said development, not
Yeah,
administration.
development. So basically, right, we will discuss this one, like what is machine data, what is Splunk, and the scope of Splunk, and the products and the latest versions. Okay, if you want to get install the older version also, I will provide the links. Okay, architecture and components, and like licensing part, like how Splunk will get money, right? Everyone, like out of, right, out of 3 Fortune companies, Fortune 100 companies use Splunk. Okay, we are taking some 10,000 companies, so 950 will use Splunk, at least for their production needs. So you will be discussing about the roles. Can you go on mute? Okay. So
Then
yeah, like we will see, like understand what is like Splunk GUI and what is the field. Let's assume like I told, in previous example you might have seen, like Splunk, right? It is presented with field data. Okay. Here now I'm getting the product ID action. If I see action, I'm getting different categories as purchase, add to cart, remove, and change quality. But some things, right? Let's assume like this field. Okay, this field is not recognized. It may be response time or whatever, but it is not recognized. So how to extract it? So in Apache, right, you will also do some customizations, no? If it is a standard Apache log, means like Splunk will like get the data. It will parse the data. Let's assume you have put some additional details, okay, in some format, okay. Then how to extract that and store it in the field, that also we'll discuss. Okay. Okay, and like we'll discuss on some these are only some actually fields, table, sort, rename, like we will be having like stats, chart, DW. We will be discussing like more of these commands to manipulate your data. Okay, each command has its significance. Okay, and we'll be discussing on creating or modifying the alerts. Means like let's assume like you are having some, what to say, you are having some error. Okay, if the count is more than some 500 in 1 minute. Okay, or like in 1 minute if you are encountering more than 20 errors, just send a mail, either by like for like message, or it can be by mail, no, that can be also done. It will be mostly used for the production. Okay, so this is what I was telling, like extracting the data from Splunk. Okay, if the field is not recognized, right, then we have to extract it and we have to store it with some name that we will be discussing. We'll be discussing on the lookups. Okay, lookups in simple, if I want to say, right, lookup is something like in logs you are having only customer ID, but you are not having address. Okay, whenever you publish a log, right, you won't publish the address of that person, no, or country, or origin, right, or state or pin code. Okay, let's assume like I need some data based on our last 3 months. I want to know from which zip code, okay, postal code, I'm getting mode orders. But in logs you are having only the customer ID. There is no like a trace of the postal code. Correct? Business analyst may need the data because he wants to know like from which zip code he is getting more orders or more cancellations. Let's assume he wants to get the data. but I'm having only customer data. What I can do, right? I can take some external source from CSV. I can map the customer ID and the zip code and his location or address or state or country. I can insert into the Splunk and I can get the data. You understood, no? Like what is lookup is something like you will be having only specific information in Splunk like customer ID, but I want some data to be ingested into the Splunk, okay, like postal code of that customer ID, and then I will manipulate the data and I will present it. So there are different types of lookups. So we'll be discussing about the lookups, and we will be having something like tags, okay, field aliases, alerts, dashboards. Okay, you will be having different types of dashboards as well. Yeah, you see the dashboards. You are having something like you are having something like a single valued. These are called as single valued, where you will represent only the number. Okay, here it is something like stats. It is something like bar charts. Okay, these are the bar charts. Okay, there is something like trend line and all. So like that, there will be like different types of dashboards. So in the recent times, no, like previously, like we are getting there are only classic dashboards, but from the latest version, no, like last two versions, they are introducing the some graphical use of dashboards as well. Classic, and we have one more dashboards as well. Okay, yeah, that's it from my end. If you have any questions.
I mean, you are providing any application for, for hands-on doing experience.
So the Splunk as such, they will provide the data for you. Okay, the basically right, if I put data also, the problem is like I can't have all these fields. It is not just shipping, right? It's also playing with the data. So Splunk has already provided the data. If you see,
So I am a performance tester, and in our project we mainly use Splunk for like it's a microservice application. Okay, and we have huge clusters also. So on day-to-day basis, we have to write many queries to fetch um, so many things to do the analysis of our testing. So I'm basically looking for these points which will
yeah,
enhance like how to write queries.
yeah. If it is a dashboard, no, that queries will be covered. Okay, some minor things will be like and or fetching the others. Because that I'm not explicitly calling out like I will be discussing. Okay, that is the bare minimum. Okay, like if you want to get errors, if you want to get like and condition, like I want to fetch like 2-3 categories only. Okay, those
Yes,
things
yes.
are automatically. Okay, I'm not explicitly calling out in this because that will be like too much. Means like that will be silly. That will be
So
covered.
sir, for that, so for me, sir, what do you think? Only the developer class which you
No,
said is okay?
that should be sufficient. Okay, that's what I'm
Okay.
telling. If a Splunk admin also or post this, right, you will be able to understand the query that I'm giving guarantee. Okay, so if someone writes a query now, you will be in some state like you won't understand, right?
Yes, I
So,
don't understand. They like write
so
5-6 lines of query, and I don't understand what exactly they are writing
correct,
there.
correct.
I'm
So,
absolutely new to Splunk. I know only one-liner queries till now.
yeah, so that's what. So that will be covered. So basically, if someone writes, you will be able to understand, and you will also write query because this is something like if you see SQL, no, SQL is also pretty like this, right? You will be have a complex query and you will be have a bare minimum query, right? So like complex query, you can understand. When I say you will understand, if it is a very complex line, you will have Splunk queries like some 10 to 15 or 20 lines also. So you will at least understand. I can't say like you will be able to write 20 lines of that thing, but you will be able to understand. You can extrapolate what is happening. You can tweak that query also. Being a performance tester, no one will expect to prepare like they will expect only like response time and pass the transaction, failed transactions, and
No,
status.
Am I audible? Actually, sir, what happens is we have to see like many things. Suppose if I am explicitly looking into a microservice call, its performance, many a times it happens we have to see the front-end calls also, or last month how it behaved. Or any error it observed in my last month, like these kind of many things we have to
Correct.
compare every time.
Correct. That's what I'm telling. Like if you say that one also, ultimately you're when you talk about like performance, no, for that particular UL or whatever, what is the response time? What is the whether how many what is the count during that time?
Yes.
It will translate to that one only. That's what I meant. So I'm saying like that and query or that filtering will be separate. Okay, filtering will be separate, but at the end you will be looking into the errors, past transactions and response times only, because
Yes.
the URLs also will be like tricky, like it will be different for each and every project. Okay, if you put globally you will get everything. If you filter that, if you filter two microservices, you will get two filter like two microservices data. That's what I meant.
Yes. Yes.
And
Yes. Okay, sir. Thank you.
yeah,
Yeah, hi, Priyanka here. So this is with respect to performance testing, right? Deriving workload model can be covered in this one from Splunk with
yes.
production.
So just now if you have this kind of data, okay, basically right, you workload model or whatever, right, it is based on the stats, right? If I give this one if I
Mm-hmm.
filter condition of last 1 month, then I will be getting the workload model, whatever the operations that are happening. So here we are having where is that add to cart or something? Do we have that add to cart? Yeah, let's assume like this is my retail application. Okay, okay, this is
Okay.
not
Okay.
exact code. Okay, if it is a category, you are having some category. Okay, so here I'm having something like past transaction and failed transactions. If I do a manipulation to add those two, right, then I will be getting like what is the category, what is the workload in 1 hour or on peak hour. If I select a peak hour,
Mm-hmm.
I will be displaying this.
So you're going to explain this, I mean, with the log data, and you're showing us like how to extract and how to derive for each scenario along with
Scenario is
users.
like based on the log, like it is based on the log. For this is the category. It is a retail application. Okay, for which you are having these categories. Okay, now I am presenting workload model means like this one only, right? How many transactions based on the accessories or like a shooter or whatever, based on your category, what is the total
Uh-huh.
number of iterations that occurred in the prod on a
That's what.
peak
Are
hour?
you going to explain
Yeah,
all
yeah,
this,
yeah,
like
yeah,
how you
yeah,
have?
yeah, yeah. This is the dashboard. Not means I'm not explicitly calling out like it is a peak load, but I'm covering this one
Okay,
for you to
okay.
get
So you mean to say like for us, if we have an application, so if we have five user scenarios or something like that, so we are deriving for that five scenarios, like what is the volume for each scenario and what is the user load. So you're going to explain us on that, right?
correct, correct.
How we have to derive it?
Yes.
Okay, okay.